Hey there, I'm Pastor Eli, and this week I got to do something really special. I got to teach a Bible class. And not just for this week, but actually the weeks following, I get to be the Bible teacher for our little church school in one of my churches. And I was sharing something with my wife about what we had learned in class and the activities that we did. And I came to the realization a lot of people have never stopped to think about why God made planet Earth. The Bible text that I want to focus on today is found in Genesis chapter 2. The meat of the whole story that I covered with the kids comes from chapter 1, but chapter 2 has something really, really interesting. Chapter 2, verse 8 of Genesis says, "And the Lord planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed." This verse doesn't seem like absolutely anything on a surface reading. But if we take a look at everything that happens before that in chapter 1 of Genesis, we realize that that is the answer to the question that we've just asked. The question being, of course, why did God make planet Earth? Why did God go through the trouble of making something? Now, I'm sure that you've had the thought before. Maybe God just woke up one day and said, you know what sounds like a great idea today? I'm going to make a planet with trees, and it's going to have these things called birds, and it's going to have all sorts of neat things. But it says in the Bible that there was an order, there was a progression and an organization to the way God did things, almost as if it was a plan. I'm not going to claim to know what the mind of God is, but it does sound like God had a very unique intention in mind. And I would suggest to you, like we learned in our Bible class, is that God made the planet. It's the birds, the horses, the squirrels, all of those things God made for us, for our enjoyment. The little exercise that we did in class was really special. I had a squirrel wrapped up in a blanket. It wasn't a living squirrel, it was just a wooden squirrel that somebody carved out. And I went ahead and I passed that around without letting them know what was inside. The students tried to guess what it was. And once they finally figured it out, after giving them enough hints, they said, oh, well, it's a squirrel. I said, great. Well, today we're going to make a little house for this squirrel. So you guys are going to help me make and cut out and color different pieces of paper and make a little setting where the squirrel is going to live in. At that point, I hadn't revealed anything about the Bible text yet. We did that little project, and then I read chapter 1 of Genesis, the story of the creation. Day 1, day 2, God saw that it was good, all of those good things. And then I asked them a very simple question, which is the question that I asked at the beginning. Why did God make the planet? They thought for a little while, and it occurred to me, and of course hindsight is 20/20, so I thought, well, of course, that's why God made it after reading the curriculum and reading the lesson study. But talking it over with my friends and with my wife, I realized, no, people don't usually think of it like that. God made the planet for a reason. So I asked them, and the students scratched their heads, and finally they came to the conclusion, well, we don't know. So I told them, why did you make this little house? Why did you make this little picture that you want to put the squirrel in? Oh, well, because we made it for the squirrel. I said, that's right. God makes the planet, and then I read them that verse 8 in chapter 2, that says that God placed man in a specific part. He had made a garden. So he makes the world, and he makes a garden, and he puts mankind right in the center of that. It was the last thing that God made right before he closes off the creation week with rest. He finishes off with humanity because that's what God was intending to put in there. So I wanted to share that with you today. It's a fantastic thought that I had not really dwelt on too much, but I hope that that's an encouragement to you. Wherever you are, take some time to look outside at nature. Look at the things that God has created. Do you have a favorite animal? Do you have a favorite season? Keep in mind that God made all of that for you and for me. Thank you, and you have a great evening.